And I'll never forget my mom and I being called into the principal's office and being told that I would not be invited back to complete the 9th grade year at my middle school. And I remember the disappointment in her eyes, because all that she had taught me, all that she had worked so hard for me to achieve to get to that point, at that time she felt like it was ruined because of a bad choice I made. And you know, I was in that situation in that moment where I recognized how hurt she was. And that actually inspired me to do better. Got over to Ballou High School and realized that the environment at Ballou High School was vastly different from what I was accustomed to in terms of schooling environments. You know, in elementary and middle school, it was nothing to say I wanted to attend college. It was nothing to be proud of being academically successful. You know, people actually expected that of you. That was the norm. You know, your classmates, in fact, we competed to see who could get all A's. We talked about the colleges and the universities that we would perhaps attend someday. We talked about those things, but when I got to Ballou, it was the opposite. I saw quickly, for one, that the environment was not fully conducive to learning. And when I say fully, what I mean by that is that in that school, there were pockets of hope. There were classrooms you could go to. And thank God for people like Mr. Taylor, my mentor during that time, who was certainly one of the biggest of light at Ballou High School. But the chaos and some of the violence and some of the dysfunction that I saw was so pervasive to the point where there was just that vast difference between school and environments. So I had to make a decision, a very adult decision as a young person, and I had to basically decide, do I compromise my academic success all in the name of fitting in with my peers? Or do I work through the scorn? Because there was scorn that came with doing well academically and being proud of it. You were accused of trying to be white, thinking you were better. And that was something that a young person, that's tough to go through. That's tough to have to brave through. But I realized early on, I was sitting in one of the assemblies, and I was looking around at many of the other students, and there were about 1,400 of us at that time. And I was looking around at the students, and I thought to myself that the majority of these people, I may never see them again in my life. And in that moment, I realized that I really owed it to myself not to buckle to the pressures, to downplay or to lower the academic bar for myself, all in the name of fitting in. That I knew that in order to get to college and get to the Ivy League, which is where I wanted to attend school, I knew I wanted to go there, and I knew that I had to do well academically. And I knew that I had to put certain things in place and make good decisions and good choices. And so I realized that I needed to not give in to that peer pressure. And I realized that in doing so and making that adult decision, that many times there were going to be instances that I would have to walk alone. There were going to be many instances where I would have to stand out like a sore thumb. But then I had to ask myself the question, is it all worth it? And I never really got the answer until years later. Right around my junior year, I met Ron Suskind, as I mentioned earlier. And Ron Suskind at the time was a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. He was seeking to do a story about honor students in the environment such as Ballou High School, which is known again for chaos, violence, and many negative things. And he wanted to really capture the story of the human spirit of the honor students at Ballou and how they're able to keep it together amidst the pressures, amidst the temptations to do other things that would defer our attentions to academic success and doing well in school. So he came over to Blue and he was given a list of about 80 honor students, because there were only about 80 honor students out of the 1,400 students at Blue. And he went through the list and he met with each student one-on-one. And he would ask them questions about their success and how they felt about their success, and many of them downplayed their success and, did not express great pride in their success, or they shared very little because they knew that being proud of success would make them a target at school. And as Ron got to about the 80th person, he realized that he wasn't getting the story he was hoping to get. And that was until he met me. It was interesting because he always tells the story of how he sort of met me before I met him. It was the end of the third quarter of my junior year. I was accustomed to getting all A's. Well, at the end of this quarter, my computer science teacher made a huge mistake of giving me a B+. And I was not pleased with that. So I went into the office and I went to the principal and I told him, look, my computer science teacher has a problem with me as a person. And he took it out on my grade. And I went and changed. And according to Ron, I stormed out of the office after I told the principal that. And Ron, he went to the principal after I left out and he asked the principal, who in the world was that? The principal said, that's Cedric Jennings, stay away from him, he's nothing but trouble. He's an honor student, one of our shining stars. But he's too proud. Too proud of his academic success, and it makes him a target. So Ron, being the defiant reporter that he is, found me anyway. Came to me with the idea of doing an article for the Wall Street Journal. And believe it or not, my initial response to Ron was no. I did not want to participate in the process because I had seen so many times how white journalists had come into the inner city. And many of them meant well, but at the end of the day, when the article was written and all was said and done, you read the article and you don't even recognize the people in the article because the truth somewhere got distorted. And I said, I've seen this happen so many times, and this guy's asking a lot of me to share my life's story with him. I don't want to be exploited. I don't want any parts of my life's story being exploited. And I certainly don't want to put myself out there like that and get played, basically. And I told him no. And it took some time because, again, he was a short white Jewish guy from across town. And the thing about it was, I'm attending this predominantly African-American school. I didn't want him following me around. I didn't want people seeing that I was connected to him because I was already a target. I mean, you're talking about people, basically, they would have thrown me out the window or something because of being associated with him. But over time, Ron, he kept coming back. He kept coming back. He grew to be very persuasive, but I think the clincher for me was that Ron acknowledged the fact that he was well schooled, in that he attended some of the top universities in the country. And he basically told me that I'm paid to know everything. But the reality is I don't know everything. And I trust you to be the expert of your own life.